Hi there. Today we will cover how the new housing policy may affect you and what time loans are involved. We will look at how first home buyers, investors, batch owners, owner-occupiers and tenants may get affected. I'm Brent Palmer.
And I'm Andrew Welch.
And we're at Tall Poppy Real Estate.
We will start with first home buyers. First home buyers have been given a bit of a lifeline. The first home grant income cap has been lifted from $85,000 to $95,000 for a single buyer, and from $130,000 to $150,000 for two or more buyers. For those that don't know, the first home grant, buyer's grant, is a maximum $5,000 for an existing home and $10,000 for a new home.
So for the Nelson and Tasman region, the new house price cap is now $600,000 for a new home and $525,000 for an existing house. We know that it's still tough to find a property under those prices though, but you just got to keep looking.
These changes for the first home buyers come into effect on the 1st of April. Now we're going to talk about investors.
Yep. So there are two main items that we'll discuss today that will affect property investors.
Number one, the Bright Line test is being pushed out to 10 years from 5 years. This means that you will pay tax on the capital gains you make when you sell before 10 years of owning that property.
An example in simple terms, if you bought an investment property for $600,000 and sold it for $800,000 7 years later, you will pay tax on the $200,000 profit at your tax rate.
Any property bought after the 27th of March will have to be held for 10 years to escape the tax. If you purchase before the 27th of March 2021, you fall under the 2-year or 5-year rules. New builds will stay under the existing 5 years Bright Line test.
So you can still sell your rental property under the 5 and 10 year timelines, but you just lose that cream off the top.
Number two, your mortgage interest.
So the biggest change for investors is the full removal of interest and deductibility from investment properties. This means you can't offset the cost of the interest that you've already paid against your rental income.
Put simply, if you have earned $20,000 a year in rent from a property but paid $12,000 in home loan interest, only $8,000 of the rental income would be subject to the tax. Under the new rules, the whole $20,000 will be taxed, and in that case it would mean up to a $90 a week increase in cost to keep up the property.
Yeah, so from October 1st, deductions will not be allowed on properties bought after March the 27th of this year.
The amount that can be claimed on the properties bought before the 27th March will be reduced to zero over a period of 4 years.
Yeah. So our understanding is that if you went unconditional on a property before the 27th of March and it settles after that date, it will fall under an existing purchase and your interest deductibility will be phased out over the next 4 years.
New builds may be exempt from this, but we don't know 100% yet.
Yeah. And what we don't know is that if you sell within the 10-year period and have to pay capital gains tax, is your interest paid tax deductible at the time of sale? Yet to be determined.
What about for batch owners? Well, batches were already covered by the Bright Line test, and the impact of that extended for any new batches bought as of this weekend.
Okay.
If you've been using your batch for holiday rentals to help cover the costs of your rates and insurance, you may now have an extra tax bill on those phased in over the next coming 4 years.
So then we've got owner occupiers. So on the most part, there's no changes for you, although you may find your equity stops increasing if the market changes.
If you're buying, building and selling more than twice within a 2-year period, the Bright Line test will nail you.
And then for tenants, there's no great change here. However, landlords may want to increase their rents in the future to cover that lack of deductions, and so they're still profitable.
And over time, there will likely be less rental properties available to rent, which will then cause rents to increase through pure supply and demand issues.
So what's the conclusion on all this? Well, the 10-year Bright Line test has more of a long-term impact on the market, and it may stop some owners from selling sooner rather than later.
The interest paid not being deducted will have more of a short-term impact when it gets phased in.
Yeah, and there's less incentive for someone to buy an investment property right now, especially if they've got a mortgage on it.
Some landlords may want to sell because the property is now more expensive to own.
The supply shortage of homes is still the root cause of the existing housing boom. and these laws don't change that fact at all. Although the $3.8 billion that's going into new housing and land acquisition could help in the long term, especially if it's better managed than Kiwi Build.
Rents may get pushed up further, which is not great for the tenants.
No. And if you have any questions, drop us a comment or direct message us, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Oh, and the disclaimer, this is an opinion piece with general advice, and we advise you to talk to your accountant and lawyer for clarification. I'm Brent Palmer.
And I'm Andrew Welch.
Have a great day, everyone. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.